Okay. So I'm assuming the Shia prior gave some akdomis, bichlolus, the hilchis shoymrim. But just for the purpose of chazorah, I will review just simple akdomis before we begin. The concept of a shoymer. According to Shulchan Aruch, the Gemara, the concept of a shoymer is that anybody who is in possession of somebody else's money in his rishus, whether it's in his hand, whether it's in his house, is by default a shoymer. Huh? What's the Kabbalah? That's already a kinyan. Finished. You have it. Now, there are cases, unique cases, where it's specifically put into your rishus without you being involved, where you could not be a shoymer. But the cases that you're not a shoymer are far and fewer. There's almost every case. If you're going to hold other people's money or belongings, it's going to be in your possession, you're going to become a shoymer. So hilchis shoymrim is all-encompassing. And it's almost every case where money is by you, we have you out a shoymer. And many times in Choshen Mishpat, all the other kinds of responsibilities that a person has, whether he's a mazik, whether those have a lot more difficulties or details in order to be chayiv. When it comes to shoymrim, it's very simple. If money is in your possession, you're considered a shoymer. And a shoymer has a certain amount of responsibility for the item that's nimtze b'rshusah. So anytime somebody comes over to you and he gives you a chayv and you think you're doing a toiva, it's very nice. It's a toiva, but then it becomes a din. Once you accept you accept something into your possession, even if you didn't say accepting responsibility, you didn't say anything, by default, you become a shoymer and you are now responsible. So everyone is well aware. We all learned Pashas Mishpatim in Yeshiva. Since then, we've learned it many times. Every year we hear Kriyas HaTorah, and we know that there's Dalet Shoymrim. At least that much we remember from Yeshiva. Okay? Ganz good. Dalet Shoymrim. So let's review the Dalet Shoymrim just again. Simple ideas, just push it. So we have the most simple Shoymer, that's the basis. Every time you take money in your possession, automatically you become l'chol ha'pakas the Shem Mechina. Shem Mechina means that you're a nice guy, you were menadiv, you were fine, you did a favor to somebody. And by doing that favor, like I said, you now became responsible to do the very basic minimum, and that is not to be pesher. That's what you have to watch for. To do the basic criteria is what every normal person would do to safeguard his items or his things. That's what you have to do with somebody else that was put into your possession. Once you do that, you fulfilled your obligations as a Shem Mechinam, and you're no longer responsible. So you're only responsible for a pshir, but you're not responsible even if the item gets lost. That means you put it into the drawer, you can't seem to find it. It's not there. So even though it's a little question, you put it in, how did it disappear? It's not your problem. As long as you put it into the drawer and it was considered a safe place. When you have little children, it may not be such a safe place. But in a place where it's safe, where you consider items that you would put safe, then you're okay. You did what you had to. Comes to kesef, just because technicalities, kesef is something that everybody's running after. It's very easy for it to get stolen. So there's maybe a little bit of more. But again, ultimately, what a person does with his own items, that's what he has to do as a shemach. When it comes to
not mula,
what?
not a shmir mula.
No shmir mula. Shem Mechinam is shmir, basic. What everybody would do.
So if he would put his bike next to his, he leaves his bike.
If he neglects his bike because he's a person that doesn't care about his money, that's not a tool to do with somebody else's money. It means something that you would care about. What would you do? Again, we're not talking about people that don't care about anything and they just leave everything every place. So now, that's what a Shem Achinam has to do. What does a Shem Mesocha have to do? Shem Mesocha is someone who receives pay to watch somebody else's item. When you get paid to watch, obviously your obligations to watch increase. Beside the actual job that you get paid to be a Shem Mesocha, you also have additional responsibilities in what you're responsible for. And that is, you're responsible for Geneva Vaveda. Now, Shem Mesocha is a whole topic for itself. There's many cases where you're not paid directly and you become a Shem Mesocha. We're not going to go into that because that's not the purpose of the share. But just as a general concept, if you are paid, you become a Shem Mesocha. And then you chayav for Geneva Vaveda. Geneva Vaveda is simple. Aveda means you got to make sure where you put it in a careful and place that you're going to find it later. If it's just lost, that's not an answer. Now we call Aveda Ke'ein Pshia. It's not a Pshia, but it's a oinus Ke'ein Pshia. It's a level above Pshia. Then there's Gneva, which is Korev Lo'oinus, because Gandavim come into the house, not very much you can do unless you stay up all night and watch it. You're not going to you're going to be able to really watch that a Gneva shouldn't happen. So we call that oinus ke'ein. It's ke'ein oinus. It's not mamish oinus, but it's ke'ein. And both of them, you are responsible for Gneva Vaveda. And that includes anything that's doimet to ein Gneva Vaveda, which means that it's either almost a pshia or almost a oinus. You're going to be responsible for your Shem. Then we have the fourth shomer. We're going to skip the third shomer for a moment. The fourth shomer is a soicher. A soicher is not somebody who was given the item for the benefit of the one who gave it to him. It was given for the benefit of the person who received it, because he's looking to rent an item. So he got it for his own benefit. When he got it for his own benefit, it doesn't make him less than a shomer, because if you're holding it for someone else's benefit, you're a shomer. When you're taking it for your own benefit, you're also a shomer. At l'chala pokas. Now, even though you were paid, you paid to have this right. You paid to have this right to use this item. That's very nice. You taka paid for it, but you still have someone else's item in your possession, and therefore you're a shomer. Here we have a machloikis tanoim, whether you're a shomer chinam or a shomer mesocha. Now, you were not paid to make the shmirah. So, on one side, you could say you're a shomer chinam. You also you paid to have this hanoah, which means this use of the item, you paid for that. So therefore, it's not a reason for you to have to become a shomer mesocha. But since you benefit from the fact that it's by you, because it's not by you for yenes toive, it's by you for your own benefit, therefore, Rabbi Yehuda holds you a shomer mesocha. Because it's the item is found by you not for the other person's benefit. It's for your own benefit. And since it's for your own benefit because you want to use it, you by default become a shomer mesocha. And therefore,
even though you're paying and giving another,
you're paying. We said you're paying for the use of the item. That's the use of the item. But why is the item found by you? It's for your benefit. And if it's for your benefit, you become a shomer mesocha. And therefore, according to Rabbi Yehuda, and that's the halacha and Shulchan Aruch, you are chayiv b'gnei b'aveda if you're a soicher. So if you want to rent something, you rent a gown, you rent a car. If you rent a car today, you sign a piece of paper that you chayiv for everything. So it doesn't make a difference. Masna shoy mesocha liyas keshoyel, masna shoy mechinam liyas kevore. You become whatever the piece of paper says. But barring a piece of paper, if you were to be a soicher by default, or without signing a piece of paper, you would be chayiv as a shomer mesocha. So that's 3 out of the 4 shomer. And today's shiur is about the 4th shomer. It's really the 3rd one of the Torah, and that's a shoyel. Someone who borrows the item. Now, Sonobar is an item, again, has the same thing like a soiche, that the item is found in his possession for his benefit, not for the person who gave it to his benefit. He was not paid specifically to watch it, but even Reb Meir, if there would be no special pasuk of a shoel, Reb Meir would also hold he's responsible to be at least a Shem Mesacher, because here he's actually allowed to use the item for free, and therefore his use is a benefit for his shmirah, and therefore he would definitely be a Shem Mesacher. Without any special psukim, he would have been a Shem Mesacher. And here the Torah says a chiddush. The Torah comes and he says, someone borrows something from his friend, v'nishbar, it broke. Now, when we say broke, doesn't mean that I broke it. It's an animal and the foot broke. There's nothing I can do about it. His foot gave out under him and he broke his foot. Or he died, the animal died. And therefore, the Rebbeinu Shlom is charged of Chaim and Mavis, or like the Gemara calls it, the Malach HaMavis is in charge of Chaim and Mavis. It has nothing to do with the human being. There's nothing he could do about it. It's considered an oinus, and therefore it's an oinus gomer. The Torah says that by a shoyel shalem yishalem, as long as ba'al of ein imoy. Now ba'al of ein imoy, this is from the most perplexing halachas of Shulchan Aruch. If you were to ask a goy about ba'al of ein imoy, he would go completely nuts. And when you tell people the halacha of ba'al of imoy and you go through the halachas, it bothers people very much. It's a gzeres hakosov of the Torah. Some give some kind of reasons to it. Actually, they have an Ezra, they have an Ezra has all kinds of. But the bottom line is, in halacha, ba'al of imoy is one of those gzeres hakosovs. It comes up in many interesting ways, and we're going to even see maybe in the middle of the shir some, and it's a ptur. So from ba'al of imoy, you have to watch. You have to keep your eyes open that you don't end up with a ba'al of imoy, because otherwise you can end up potter. Actually, the Gemara says that one of the Amoraim gave a trick how to pater every shomer.
Every shoyel, yeah.
Well, every shomer has the ptur of ba'al of imoy. Like the Gemara's mavu, it's not only by sheila, it's every shomer. And he said a trick that every time somebody borrows an item, he should, while he's borrowing them, he should tell the guy, pass me a drink or pass me a tissue. So since he's working for him, the shaz the sheila, that's it, ba'al of imoy, and now he's potter. So this is but this is not going to be the focus of the shir. Ba'al of imoy is a sugi for thing. Potter on everything.
Everything.
Except Shia, there's one man the Amr that says
like the Gemara.
Paskin, the Rambam Paskins. But at least we, Lalach, hold it patis for every single case, Ba'al of imoy. So Ba'al of imoy is one of those interesting things. It's a sugya and has lots and lots and lots of halachas and prot. We're not going to focus on that.
Because it happened a year later, you gave the tissue today.
That's right. It's totally in this man ha'sha'ela. That moment of when the kinyan happened, like you learned before in the shir, you need a kinyan. At that, whenever that kinyan happened, or whenever the she'ela was chal, if at that moment it was ba'al of imoy, that's it. The rest of the shmira as a ptur. So you can actually take the item, put it outdoors, and the sun will come, the rain, and people will steal it, and you put. Again, it's a halacha that's difficult for us to comprehend. Okay? That's what it means to be makabel the hilchas HaTorah. Most of Choshen Mishpat is higoyin. This halacha is not higoyin, it's agzeres hakos. But let's focus on she'ela. So
somebody called the paradum of Choshen Mishpat.
Yeah, it's a difficult halacha. Now, let's talk about. So we have this halacha that she'ela the Torah was mechayev ba'insin. Now, we have to understand that if the Torah was mechayev a shoyel ba'insin, almost every other shomer we understand the rationale behind it. That means you're a shomer chinam, okay? At least don't do neglect. Don't be a pesheya. You're a shomer sacha, you got paid. Yeah, watch it more carefully. But why in the world are we being mechayev a shoyl ba'oinsin? What? What did he do wrong? What do you do? The Rebbeinu makes sense. What do you want from me? What could I have done better? What could I have watched more? What is it that you want from me? And why are we being mechayev a shoyl ba'oinsin? So the Nesivis, in Simon Reish Sadat Dalet, the Nesivis says, no, a shoyl is not responsible for Einstein because it has a chasoron in the shmir. It has nothing to do with him watching or not watching or better watching. Not negated. He's not responsible because of that. So here we have a new concept that the word shoymer doesn't mean only that you have to watch. We have maybe a childish understanding of shoymer means you're responsible. Now, why you're responsible could be for many different reasons. The word shoymer means one who is responsible for someone else's item. The shaila is, on what level are you responsible? So the answer is, it depends. If you're a shoymer dinim, your responsibility is pshia. If you're a shoyl, your responsibility is unseen. Why, Albert? Why did the Torah give you such a great responsibility? It has nothing to do with your shmirah. So why did the Torah put this?
Why the there's a custom like shmirah b'baylim?
Yeah, but it's hard to say that the Torah mit hamol by shoyl decided to say. Now you could say that, but you see from the Gemara not like that. Well, and the Gemara says why shoyl has why the Torah, and the Torah says the Gemara says because kol hanor shaloi. We're going to focus on that in a minute. But what lies behind this halacha that shows Chaim points? So there's a toisvis in Bava Kama, Daf Yudalef. That toisvis is mashma that a shoyl we look at in essence, he took over the place of the balabais. Because what happens? I took my item and whatever I'm supposed to have in it, I just gave it to you. So for this short period of time, you are sitting in my shoes right now. And if the Bailim has an oinus, what do we say? Tough luck. You have an oinus, it's your problem. The Torah says that a shoyl, it's considered b'shuscha, and it's yours for now. And therefore, oinus is your bad mazel kilu. You had bad luck. What you do? The chayfetz is yours now. And therefore, we hold you responsible for those. Other Rishonim is more like you're the Torah l'sof dait.
So what do you mean? So you're sort of bal chayv, it's yours, and you're a bal chayv to return it back to that.
You have to give it back after that zman.
The
zman that it's by you,
value.
We look at it like it's shaloi, like some Rishonim don't like that. By gate, Aganav is also responsible for it. We say Aganav kol zman is b'shuska, and you stole it. We look at it, it's like yours, and therefore. Oinus happens, it's your law.
Some sort of again matana manas lahagzer. Could you
exactly
again? I
don't think we mean to say it's more than a sha'ilda. What I mean to say is that the Torah looks at it. What just happened? What do we say about oinus? It's the bad mazel of the one who owns it. What is oinus? The Boshtam decided that this person who owns it's going to lose his money. B'shaz the she'ela, it's your bad mazel that created this, because you're the one now that we consider the Bible. You have.
He can use it for free. It's like it's his.
Yes.
Corporations, borrows.
No, because the guy gives in the secretary in the shul.
Yeah. Who? We can decide if the shul is b'chlal borrowing the Zevitayr. Why? Who said the shul is borrowing? You daven in the shul.
Can the Rav repeat the question? Repeat the question for the.
He wants to know that every time if you give a shul a Zevitayr, whether the shul becomes a shoyl on the Zevitayr, whether the shul is borrowing the Zevitayr,
or a
shomer on the Zevitayr. So we can say again, if you daven in the shul, maybe the shul didn't take borrowing Zevitayr b'chlal. Maybe you're there and you're using the Zevitayr by putting it in the shul's aron, and you're using the Zevitayr by the shul laying in it. Who said they borrowed it? It's not ba'alavimoy. The ba'alavimoy doesn't mean that they happen to be with you at one moment. They worked for you as ba'alavimoy. But again, we're going to go off the All these are discussions. That's a discussion, but it doesn't belong to the share for today. But it's a discussion. Who is a shoyl? At what point do you become a shoyl? Let's have a focus. If we have a shoyl, who's responsible? We said that maybe the possible reason is because it's considered b'shuscha. The other possibility is Yordan Torah l'soivdan shem le'olam. Whenever I meet a person, if someone asks me a shayla and he says he doesn't know anything, he says someone borrowed from him an item and a oinus happened, it's by him pashut that the guy has to pay for it. Even Meisam Achnas Malacha, it's pashut by him, he has to pay for it. The Muskal Rishon, someone who didn't learn Meisam Achnas Malacha, doesn't, says, I gave him the item, it's broken. He has to give it back to me full. And the reason is because there's a certain assumption. You're borrowing, I'm giving you a matnas chinam, I'm giving you the thing to use it. Don't understand? You got to give it back to me the way it is. Full, complete. So you're going to direct yourself that and you're mischayev yourself to pay oinsen, because that's what you're expected to do for this amount of benefit. Here, Mashiach, the Torah is mechayev a person. If he borrows something, he's chayev oinsen. Okay. And now we have to get into the meat and potatoes of what exactly is a shoyl. And today is most of the share, whatever's left at the time, will be spent on categorizing when are you a shoyl. A shoyl has a very important component. The Gemara says in Masechta Baba Metzia Daf Tzadik Daled Amud Beis. I know you want to put it up.
Yeah, sure. Tzadik Daled Amud Beis.
Tzadik Daled Amud Beis. The Gemara says like this.
The first piece of Gemara. Could be the third page. There we go.
No, scroll down a bit. You don't mind.
Yeah, it's going to go. The Rebbe is to start talking.
Okay, so in the middle of the whole Sugis HaGemara, the Gemara says like this. It's about, you see the yellow lines, you could stop. You see the yellow lines, about 8 lines under that. The Gemara is busy trying to figure out whether it's a chumrah to have kefil or when you make a shvur, or it's a chumrah to have keren without a shvur. We don't have to go into the technicalities, but the Gemara says, that means if you're going to be chayiv to pay keren without a shvur, because I'll give the background. Asher Mesocha is chayiv for gneva v'aveda because that's his chiv. Asher Mechinom is potter. But if he's toyin tainis ganev, the Asher Mechinom, and really it wasn't true, and he made a shvur, then he has to pay kefir. So the Gemara is trying to figure out which one is more chamer, the Asher Mechinom or the Asher Mesocha. Asher Mesocha, if it is gneva v'aveda, he only has to pay keren. But the Shem Mechinam, if he's toyin tainis ganav, he ends up with kefil. But a Shem Mesocha can't be toyin tainis ganav, because if he's toyin tainis ganav, he has to pay the keren. So the Gemara wants to know which one's more chamer. So the Gemara says, I'll prove to you that keren without a shvur is more chamer than kfela with a shvur. Why? Teda, the Hashoyel Kallah Hachanah Shiur. Hashoyel Kallah Hachanah Shiur.
It's the first wide line. Basically,
Line.
Make it yellow. First wide line.
There it is. You see that? Hey, Dan. Hashoyel Kallah Hachanah Shiur. And he doesn't pay keren. That means the Gemara is trying to categorize for us what's the chomer of shoyel. Shoyel is very chomer in Hilchos Shoyim because it's Kallah Hachanah Shiur. Therefore, if there you pay keren for gneva and you don't have the opportunity to pay kefil by toyin tainis ganav, is a raya that it's more chomer to be chayiv keren without a shvur than kefil with a shvur. We're not going to talk about any more about the keren and the kefil. We're here to focus that the Gemara says that how do we define a shoyel? Kallah Hachanah Shiur. Now, we'll see in another few minutes that the Gemara asks a question. Is it true? HaShoel Kallah Hachanah Shiur? And the Gemara is going to say maybe it's only
That's
right.
right.
And that's going to be a very important Gemara. But before we get there, the Gemara says that the criteria, Shoel is Kallah Hachanah Shiur. Says Rashi, what does it mean Kallah Hachanah Shiur? Kallah Hachanah Shiur, the Rashi is in the screen, it's probably all the way on the bottom. You see it there in small letters.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Kallah Hachanah Shiur means Shebechinam hu oisem melachtoi. He gets to do the work with the behemoth for free. That's the definition of Kallah Hachanah Shiur. That means, what makes a shoyel Kallah Hachanah Shiur and not a soiche? Because a soiche, even though he uses the item, he pays for it. But a shoyel, he does malacha with this item for free. Since it's for free, it's considered Kallah Hachanah Shiur. Now, if this is true, so says the Ktsois HaChoshen, Simen Shin Mem Sif Cotton Hey, the Ktsois HaChoshen says, Klal Godoil Hu B'Shoyel. It's a big rule in Sheila that in order for one to be a shoyel has to be Kallah Hachanah Shiur. Means the Gemara is telling us a categorization of what is a shoyel. It's Kallah Hachanah Shiur.
And if it's not a shoyel.
And the moment it's not, it becomes a soich. Once it's not Kallah Hachanah Shiur, it becomes a soich.
Defaults automatically.
And the chiluk is whether you're chayav on oinsen or you put on it. So, if a person, he borrows an item, but because they're legal people, everything is legalese, so they write for consideration of $1, I hereby give you this she'ela you should use something that's worth $10,000. The halacha is you're no longer shoyel. You could use she'ela from today to tomorrow, but you're now a soiche. And the reason is because it wasn't bechinam and it wasn't Kallah Hachanah Shiur. Kallah Hachanah Shiur means Kallah Hachanah Shiur. I got paid. How much did I get paid? Did I get the value? No, I got $1. And I got it because we needed consideration. But what does consideration mean? In Tmura of me giving you the she'ela, I gave you $1. And that means that it's no longer she'ela, now it's a schirus. And as though it's mavur and ran, as though it's mavur minchas chimich, it makes a difference the amount of money. Even if it's a minimal amount of money, so far it has to be a shava pruta. Whether it could be pachas shava pruta, we'll soon see.
It's formality, not a real.
It's formality, but the formality means that you give me consideration. That means the formality is that you need to give what's consideration mean? The tbura for you getting this. That means the formality means you have to give a pruta.
And that's why it's being done.
And therefore, it's no longer she'ela, now became a skirus. And it's not unique to money. If I say to you, hey, there's a little boy in Cheder, tells his friend, if you share with me your snack, you give me a few bambas, I'll let you use my scooter. And he lets him borrow the scooter for a few bambas. And now something oinless happens to the scooter. It's no longer shayla. It's now schirus. I got a few bambas. If it's a shava pruta l'chalapoches, if it's enough bambas to be a shava pruta, so then you're going to have, it's not dafke money. Any ano that he gave him as a tmura for this shayla is going to be no longer a schirus, a shayla. Huadin, the guy tells him, I would like to borrow your car. He says, no problem. Just do me a toiva. I need from you a toiva. Call this Rosh Hashiva. I need from him a toiva. Could you call? I know you have protective. Give him a call for me. And he does it. It's not a shayla anymore. It's a schirus. So again, if something happens to the car, you put. Now I'm going to tell you a story. It happened many years ago. I don't know how many years, but a long time ago. It's the times of horses. There was a Yid who wanted to borrow his friend's horse. The guy says, nothing doing. I'm not renting out my horse. He says, no, I would rent it. I'm not interested. So he says, but I need a horse. Not again. I beg you, please. He says, you know what? See, you're desperate. I'm asking. I'll lend you the horse. Fine, take the horse. But if you don't mind, on the way, when you're out there, if you could stop by the guy who fixes the shoes on the bottom of the horse's legs, they fix the shoe horns, those barzelim, especially the shelag outside, there's a lot of snow. If you could have it fixed, it cost a few prutas. Fix it if you can get it done. The Yid went, took it, he fixed it, and then this horse was the snow, while walking through the snow, and a whole avalanche of snow fell on it, and the kids, a whole mice, I tried to save it. The bottom line is the horse went to Olam Amis. Sure, that's it. The horse is dead. Now comes the marshal, and he says,
Where's my fed?
pay me for the fed. The Shoel says, what should I do? The snow ate it up. What should I do? And more than that, I tried to save the fed. All the money I spent to save the fed, pay me. But Kitzer, this Shiloh was asked to the Baal Chesed Lavrom. I'm not Chesed Lavrom. I'm talking about Al-Kalai, Svardish, way back. And he was asked this Shiloh, and he wants to know what's the halach. So he writes.
What's the question?
So he writes in the beginning. He says, I would think it's a shame. This guy went and he bought he fixed these shoes for a few dollars, and he fixed Ki'ilu, the animal of the mashal. It was clear that this has nothing to do with the She'ela. The She'ela was the She'ela. He just told him, while you're doing it, Agav, go take it this for you put this Ki'ilu that he was asking him to take care of something as I think you become Ois Shoyl. Nah, Avada you stay a Shoyl and a Mela, he holds you Shubichat. Then at the end of the tshuva, he finds this ran that we spoke about before. He brings the ran and he says that from the ran it's mavur, like that. And therefore, even though it's b'derech agav, it wasn't said as a schiurus. They want to make up that this is the payment. But since he's benefiting from this she'ela by him going out to fix it, it's no longer she'ela. I'm a mele, you're a soicher. So if I tell you, you want my car, vakasha, but the windshield wipers, they're not, they're making fuzzy my windshield. If you don't mind to replace the windshield wipers. And he says, okay, vakasha, it's a few dollars, go fix it. And he replaces the windshield wipers. So he's no longer a child. Now he's a soicher.
Doing for himself.
Oh, so we'll talk about yourself in a few minutes. Whether that will change it. You see from the Chesed Lavrom, it would seem that it doesn't change. But we'll see in a minute.
If he gave him money to fix the...
So here he did not give him any money. He did it on his own expense. The Chesed Lavrom is busy. What happens if the guy says, I was asking to pay you? He said, you never discussed it before. I could never ask you to pay me. And therefore, he says, he's still considered a soicher.
Even if he gave him money, he did a pool for him. If let's say
If
I'm borrowing
that
your car,
pool,
you say when you go to Borough Park, drop this off by his house.
we'll talk about that.
So that's
We have to talk about that too. We're going to get to every case. I mean, hopefully, we'll get to some more cases. Give us slowly, we're going to build it, okay? Now, a Yid went to the airport, and he's in the airport now, and this Yid needs a phone. Doesn't have a phone. So he turns to his friend and says, you mind giving me a phone? He says, sure, by all means. So the guy, when he gets, if you don't mind, I have to go to the bathroom. Could you watch my luggage?
That's the case.
Ma'os HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a oinus happens to the phone. The phone dies. Kaddish. Okay. Next, the phone is dead. Now he says, Yashoil. She says, yeah, but I watched your luggage. So the Gemara says, Hashileini va'ashmircha, I'll watch for you. The Gemara says, Yashem B'Zochim. Now, this case is not a good case, because this case is not the ball of Imoy.
Machmas Balachto also.
Anyway, if I'm working for you to, if grab this case, not ball of Imoy. It's the backwards. It's questionable of him. Okay, let's take this. It's not ball of him. This case is not ball of him. Why should it be ball of him? You're not working for you're not working for me. I'm working for you, and I'm borrowing from you. So this case is zicha not ball of him. In this case, if you were going to say now that it's a shoym mesocha, because he got a shmircha, I'm going to watch for you. L'choreh, he's a shoym mesocha, and he's ois shoym. Now, one can ask, would he pay a pruta for somebody to watch his luggage? Or would he take the luggage with him if nobody was ready to watch it for him?
Why is that kiveya?
Not a shavu pruta, maybe it's not.
Oh, it's not a shavrut, you mean? Oh.
Okay, so we'll deal with that.
Everything today is shavrut.
Everything's a shavu pruta. A shavu pruta today is be'erich 15 cents.
Really? How did you come to that cheshbon?
No, it has to do with silver, with the price of silver.
Over silver.
Okay, so let's for a moment, let's say it was a shavu pruta. So here again, you
mean copper. Case. Copper, you mean. Copper. Prutas and choshes.
I know, but you measure shava prutas and silver. It's a certain percentage. It's whatever, how many prutas are in a ma, whatever. It's measured with the price of silver. Because silver is considered the currency, everything else is considered Paris. Asugi fazir, you're going to schlep me into 10 figures. Let's stay focused.
We love it.
Now, let's talk about Huadin. You have a case. This guy's going to vacation. He's going on vacation to Toronto, and he's going on vacation to Montreal. So they swap houses. So again, if an oinus is going to happen now, it's not going to be a shoel. It's going to be a shemasacha. Because Ashileni v'ashilcha. Now here it could be, loit one sheet, it'll be bal of imoy. They're both using it at the same time. Each one is now why is a shoel called working for Yana? Machloik's b'shoinim. Again, I don't want to go into it now. You have to learn Hilchas bal of imoy. But the point is, these are all cases where there's a tmura, you're getting paid. No, it's not kol hanoah shaloi, and therefore, if it's not kol hanoah shaloi, the halacha is it's not a shom. You're a soich. Okay. Now let's go back to this Gemara we saw. Maybe bring back up the Gemara. And the Gemara says, you want to bring up the Gemara?
Which one?
This Gemara, Ashoil Kallah Hachanah Shiur, the same one we had.
Same Gemara, put it back.
Oh,
No,
no,
the
sorry.
Gemara we had.
I got cut out.
But the Gemara says, Ashoil Kallah Hachanah Shiur, frag the Gemara. Is that true? That Ashoil Kallah Hachanah Shiur? V'haboi mezoini.
He has to feed him.
The shoil has to feed the animal. What do you mean, Kallah Hachanah Shiur? You didn't have to feed the animal today. I had to feed him.
Not just you didn't have to. I had to. Both.
No. Let's talk about both. Yeah. Both. But it means I fed him and you didn't feed him. So the Gemara, the Chaim Agam.
He has it.
That means
Didn't
he would
feed
have had to eat anyway. So the soicha didn't, the shoil didn't give. He gave they ate from the Agam. What? There's no gain there. You could get he's kind of Agam. The Agam will feed him. The swamp has enough food. Frag the Gemara, boy netira. Someone has to watch this animal. So the Gemara benatemasa. We're talking about that there's a shomer that's hired by the city to watch all the animals, so you don't have to watch it. So basically, the Gemara just said, okay, I'm trying to find all kinds of ways that's not Kallah Hachanah Shiur. What says it is? The boy is
Right.
saying,
I have to pay for the.
Loi temer kol ano shaloi, ela emer roi vano shaloi. No, doesn't mean kol ano shaloi. It
Just a
means
roi.
roi vano. Okay, so this Gemara seems innocuous. It's just trying to tell us that you're calling it kol ano shaloi. Not really kol ano shaloi, because you have to give it mezoni, and you have to give it watch. You have to watch it. The problem is, if we say that the criteria of a shoyel is kol ano shaloi, and now I'm telling you that a shoyel is not kol ano shaloi, it's only roiv ano shaloi, and now I'm going to ask you, if you, let's say you paid me $1, who has roiv ano? The mashal or the shoyel? Most definitely the shoyel has roiv ano, not the mashal. So, okay, it's shoyel. It's no more roiv, it's a roiv ano shaloi, is enough. Araya, the Gemara says, you can have mezoini, you can have the tirusa. What are you talking about? It's gewaldig. So this is a good question. This is an important question. So if you look at Rashi over there, Roiv hano shaloi, let's see what Rashi says. Rashi says she'eina noisen schach.
First white line.
So that means Rashi is saying, no, don't think that Roiv hano shaloi is enough. If I give you $1 and you got the better deal, the shoyel got the better deal, that Meir he stays a shoyel. No, then you're a zoichel, because you got paid for using the item. But when you don't get paid, then you're Roiv hano shaloi. Means the moment you get paid, you can't call that kol hano shaloi, or even roiv hano shaloi. Roiv hano shaloi means she'ein noisen schach. But if you do give schach, then you get it. So what's going on? So and why is this not called giving schach? I'm giving mezoinus. I'm watching it. What's yes schach? What's no schach? Bechinam. It's bechinam means because you didn't get paid schach. Now, let's first focus. There's two things the Gemara says you could definitely do. Okay? If you give mezoinus, it's not a stira to being kol hano shaloi. If you watch the animal, it's not a stira to kol hano shaloi. Listen to the shach. The shach is in Siman Ayin Beis. It's not in Hilchos Sheila. The Shach has a question like this. A Yid came to someone and he told him, I'm going to give you the story. Yid went away for the summer. He told him, listen, I'm not being home. You're being home. I don't want to leave in my house all my silver. I'm afraid it's going to get stolen. If you don't mind, can you watch it for me? I'll put it in 2 boxes, put it in Yaz and keep an eye. Kachava. He gives him the silver. He's going to watch it for him. Now, we're going to talk about it. Someone's asking a question. When does for consideration become roiv hano shaloi? We're going to deal with that. That's what we're trying to deal with. So now, let's first deal with this case. So this guy, he lets him watch it. Then he drives up to the mountains and he tells his wife, it was so not nice. We gave this guy a job to watch our silver for free. Let's at least let him use it if he wants. So he calls up this Yid. He says, I feel bad. If you need something for my silver, by all means, use it. He says, Yarchei Kallah, the emphasis, I'm making a Shabbat brachas. I could use a few nice pieces. Yarchei Kallah. Beseder. Now, unfortunately, a oinus happens. Okay? So, he tells him, you're a shoyel. You had a right to use it. She says, no, what are you talking about? I got that in return for doing the shmira. Again, you asked me to watch it for you. You asked me to be a shoyel mechinam, to watch it for you. Then you call me up, you feel bad. How you talking and watching a mechinam? So instead, you tell me, okay, now I'll let you use it. So if I gave you something for it, it
Shoyel.
come on, shoyel.
Even if you didn't even use it.
He agreed to use
Agreed.
it. So
That's enough.
it. So it becomes a shoyel.
Agreed.
The Shabbat himself.
Right. At that point, it becomes a shoyel. Now the shaila is, he says, what do you mean? But I paid for it. So says the shach, nothing doing. Every shoyel watches it. You didn't do anything more than a shoyel would have to. When you're saying you watched it in return for getting the shayla, what are you talking about? That doesn't take away from Kallah Hachanah Shiur because every shoyel has to watch it. So being a shoyel mechinam and then turning into a shoyel and having to watch it is hainuach. Shmira is part of shayla. And the Gemara is saying on shayla that it's Kallah Hachanah Shiur or Roth Hachanah Shiur is enough. So this that you're watching it doesn't make, it's not ma'ilum. And therefore, you remain a shoyel. The problem is the Shulchan Aruch over there sounds like he's not sure. So that all the Achronim are trying to find out why the Shulchan Aruch doesn't hold like this, but they don't argue in the Yesod. That he was Makabah saying he wants to use it. I said the case specifically, right? But once he said that, he became a shoyel, and the fact that he was shoyel is not a steer, is not doesn't turn it oishe. In Imre Yoshe, he has a shuva like this. There was a yid who had a sefer Torah. He gave it to the oilam to use. He didn't daven in the shuva. That case it was zicher. They told him, he told them, no problem, I let you use it. But if you find a mistake in the sefer Torah,
Fix it.
make sure you take care of it. Pay a sefer soifer, take care of it, take care. Now, a sreifa happened in the Beis Radish. Now the shaila is, were they shoyel? So they said, what do you mean? We were taking care of his Torah. We had to fix it if there was a mistake. So the Imre Yoshe says he's not sure. Why? He says, because maybe this is Mezoinus. What's Mezoinus? Why is Mezoinus not Kallah Hachanah Shiur? Why is it? Because if you're working with an animal and it needs food to work, so this is part of you working with the animal. You need to feed it. So maybe you had Mezoinus. So it says you want to use this Sefer Torah, if it has a mistake, you got to fix it. So maybe it's Mezoinus. Or no. Mezoinus is only because I'm feeding it today and I have benefit today. But if I'm fixing his Sefer Torah, that you're going to have benefit from it because now his Sefer Torah is Mesukun, maybe that's not Mezoinus.
Yes.
He goes, he's not sure. But the Chesed Lavram that we mentioned before is pretty close. He says that if you fix the barzelim on the animal, he says, Yechayev. He doesn't say it's Mezoinus. What do you mean? You're going to benefit now that you can run with the animal with the barzelim. The answer is,
Doesn't matter.
that as long as it's going to stay there, that benefit, it's considered a benefit for the mashal. And therefore, he holds that that's not considered Mezoinus, and therefore, he is considered a soiche and not a shoyel. So my windshield wiper story, again, according to the suffix of the Imre Yoshe, he said, listen, you couldn't drive, you needed the windshield wipers to clean it for you. So it's not for me. It's not Kallah Hachanah Shiur, it's Mezoinus. You needed it, it was part of your use. Or since it's gonna be there after I use it, therefore it's considered that I did it for you, and at least the Chesed Avram is Vadai, that's considered Kallah Hachanah Shiur. It's considered a soich and it's not Kallah Hachanah Shiur.
The whole shoes also, you need the shoes for the whole shoes.
Right,
Yeah.
that's correct. So it's chora raya from him that he does not agree. Okay, but let's really try to understand this. At the end of the day, what's going on here? What's the gather of Mezoinus and Shmira? What exactly makes that it should stay Kallah Hachanah Shiur and not become a soicher?
Perfect.
What is the exact criteria that this is? What's the gather? So in this, there's a machloikis achronim, and this is a very important. And this, I could still spend with you another half hour showing you how many nafkamindas comes out from this understanding of what is the difference between these two. The Minchas Pitim, which is the same one who wrote Imre Yoshe, which I said before, was a Meir. He's from the Gedolim in Poland before the war. And he writes in Minchas Pitim, he writes like this. that what Rashi is saying is that any time you do not get payment from the mashal, that means that the mashal is not giving you something, even though you benefited, it doesn't become ois shoyl. That means I'm giving you a benefit, you have a benefit, but I'm not giving it to you. I'm not giving you anything. I'm just taking care of myself. You happen to be, you have a benefit. You still remain a shoyl. But if I give you something, then you become a shoyl. So he says, when it comes to food, right? The bottom line is, he says, the mezoinis, you fed the animal, yeah? He says, the bottom line is that you fed the animal, you used it, and you fed the animal, you used it. So what did the shoyl get, the mashal get? Happens to be, he saved money that he didn't have to today use the animal. He didn't have to feed the animal. But who got, did you give anything to the mashal? No. If you watched it for yourself while you were doing it. You didn't give the mashal anything. You were watching it because you had to use it. You didn't give anything to the mashal, you don't become a shoyl. If you give him something, then you become a shoyl. That's the Minchas people understand. The Ois HaMeir has a different idea. The Meir says, any benefit that the shoyl gets, the mashal gets, the one who's lending them gets, it makes him ois shoyl. So why when you give him a zoynus didn't become ois shoyl? He says, the reason why you're giving him to eat is because today you're working with the animal. So you're the bailam today. You have to feed him. You're doing it because that's what if you're the bailam today, you have to feed him. So you're not doing it because you give this, the mashal is not, we don't consider that a benefit that the mashal is getting. You're responsible. It's you want to have the behemoth, you have to watch him. Therefore, it's not shat the mashal is considered benefit. It's not benefiting. You are the one that is the bailam, and you are the one that has to do this today. So what?
And we'll starve.
It's more your problem today. It's your responsibility.
It's your problem.
Yeah, you're the bailam. You're today the
You
animal.
own this animal.
You have to watch him. You have to feed him. This is your responsibility because you are the one who has the animal today. It's not considered that you gave the shot anything.
Yes, the car.
What?
Yes, the car.
Right. Well, if you use it, you use it. Right?
That's
But
possible.
there the guy doesn't gain anything. Here he gains that he didn't have to feed the animal.
Yeah, feed him. He didn't pay.
He could feed him. He could pay for the food. He could pay for the food. The point is, it's your responsibility to feed him because you're
It
using
becomes
it.
yours,
And
your
therefore,
thing.
it's not considered I got anything. But if I would get any benefit, year masha year, I would.
Kallah Hachanah Shiur doesn't mean Kallah Hachanah Shiur. This is very tiny thing, Ganzen.
No, it's really.
And if not, yeah.
Yeah, the Meir says really it's Kallah Hachanah Shiur. The question is, Kallah Hachanah Shiur, it's only Roth. The answer is these things are not considered a benefit to him. They're considered, the Gemara's kasha was only, how do you call it Kallah Hachanah Shiur? The Maisa, he doesn't have to feed him. Someone says, what can we call it Roth Hachanah Shiur? But really it's Kallah Hachanah Shiur.
Why didn't the Gemara answer the Arsamet's terrace?
No, the Meir test doesn't answer the fact.
No, why did the Gemara have to say kind of bargain?
No, that's the Gemara's have. The Gemara first starts by to for the losh and Kallah Hachanah Shiur because simply doesn't have to give it. And at the end, the Gemara says, it's good.
Yeah, but it's still telling us.
It's true. And what the Gemara means says factually is Roy or Kallah. Factually, it's Roy. Because the Metzia says that he's feeding it and he's getting, he has
$10
some
off.
responsibility.
$10 off.
But ultimately, we don't look at this as a benefit to the mashal. Here's a story.
So what about the windshield wipers?
Chikrei Lev has a tshuva. There was a yid who had wine barrels. Now, wine barrels are a very big commodity. Today, you age wine in special barrels. It's not stam, it's very kosher. Sherry casks. And this guy, he had barrels, but he didn't have wine. He let the person who was making wine use his barrels. Now, this city, there was just like in all, since history and still today, you have to have licensing to make wine. Not everybody can make wine. They only give out a certain amount of licenses. Amol used to give in every city one license, and one person had a right to make wine. Everybody else was not allowed to make wine. So this Yid had the right, and he had the barrels. So he let Yanni use the barrels of wine. Ma'os HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a oinus happened, the wine barrels were destroyed with his wine. So the mashal comes to him and he says, Rabbi, do me a favor, pay for the barrels. So he tells him, I understand. You have two benefits. Number one, the barrels, you couldn't use it for wine without me. Barrels that don't have wine for 1 year, they get ruined. So your barrels benefit. You were benefiting from this putting the wine in it. Because if not, your barrels would get ruined. Secondly, if your barrels wouldn't have been used by me, you would have to find storage where to put it. And you didn't have to put it into storage. So I'm a soicher, not a shoel. Therefore, I should be potter. That's what the Chikrei Lev. That was the Chikrei Lev Shiloh. Now, according to the Minchas Pitim, it's pashut that this is not going to be called a soicher. Why? Because the mashal, the shoel didn't give the mashal anything. He put his wine in the barrels. But Memela, the mashal benefited. He got the benefit from this shayla because this guy's barrels didn't have to be stored. This guy's barrel didn't get niskalkal. Very nice. So it's a benefit that I got, the mashal could say. But you gave me nothing. You gave me nothing. That's right, Shalom. That's good. I'm not considered ois shoel. You can still consider a shoel. The Chikrei Lev does not say this. The Chikrei Lev says that he is still a shoel. But he says it for a different reason. He says that the reason why it's a shoel is because this is doimer lemezoynis. It's doimer lemezoynis. Why? He says, listen here. If you give me mezoynis, my animal also stays alive. Right? The animal stays alive. And it doesn't say in the Gemara that the mezoynis, and it says, and by mezoynis, what was the case? That the guy who had the animal didn't have work that day, pashtus, even if he didn't have work. And if I don't have work and I have to feed him mezoynis, cost money. But still, since the bottom line is you're using the animal, you have to pay it mezoynis, even though it doesn't cost me mezoynis and I didn't have work today. It's not considered I'm ois shoel. Why not? Like Dor Sameach says, because that's what you have to do if you want to use the animal.
Boss for the day.
But it's not considered that
Boss for the
you
day.
gave me. The same thing here. Again, you have these barrels. You have to put. You want to use the barrels. You have to store them. Otherwise, you can't use the animals. You can't use the barrels. And you're putting the barrels. You're getting there's some kind of benefit. Of course, I could save that things don't get in this calc. I saved by the way, even when you gave him his own resources, there wasn't this calc. But that's considered your responsibility because you want to partially use it. If you will have barrels that'll be in this calc, you won't be able to use them. If you have barrels that don't have a place to be, you won't be able to use them. Therefore, all these cases remain a shul. So again, here, but you could hear the difference why it should be a shul. It doesn't make enough meaning in halacha. I think I ran out of my time. Let me just say
So we're going on pause.
1 minute, just a possible nafkamin. I'm going to give you the tshuvas around because you have to hear the tshuvas around. The Ran has a tshuva that if someone asks us this question, we're going to answer it in 30 seconds. And he wrote a tshuva, Nachamazli wrote a tshuva. He was asked, someone borrowed a sefer from somebody. And the person borrowed the sefer. Huh?
Got me pushed.
What?
They switched, you trying to give yourself a second.
No. He borrowed a sefer. And then oinus happened, and the sefer got ruined. And now the shoyl was asking if he's responsible to pay. Does anyone have any reason to say he's potter? I hope not. If anyone would have asked me this question, I would answer him in a jiffy. Yes, you're chayiv. What's the shit? You don't know a pasuk in the Torah? A shoyl borrows something. He's chayiv points. What do you want? So come Dayan with this fascinating idea. The Ran says, I don't understand. When you give a yid the sefer to use to learn, Mekayim mitzvah. What mitzvah? Not clear. Well, whatever mitzvah, he says you're Mekayim mitzvah. Every piece of this Ran is like you could write a whole sefer on every piece.
Talmud Torah.
Whatever there's a mucharai from all the Achronim, what mitzvah you're Mekayim. But whatever it is, you're Mekayim mitzvah. Good. Says the Ran, the halacha is, the Gemara says, Shomer Aveda, since he's doing a mitzvah, he's being Shomer Aveda. Rabbi Yosef says, Yashomer Socher. Why? Because you put him a pruta to give a pruta to only who comes to knock on the door while you're doing a Shomer Aveda. Because Oisik b'mitzvah potem and a mitzvah, Meir you potem, Meir it's considered a pruta, Meir it's considered that you're a Shomer Socher. So this yid, b'shaz the moment he made the sheil and was Mekayim a mitzvah. So at that moment, oiseh b'mitzvah potem and a mitzvah is potem to give a pruta lani. He got a pruta. Bazoi is not a shoyl, he's a soicher. Meir is potem.
Wow.
This is a Ran for the books. It's in the books. The Ran wrote it in his tshuvas.
About a book, about a sefer.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And let's ask a simple question on the Ran. Did the marshal, Shoyl, give the marshal anything?
No.
He gave him schar. Now 1 penny. The Rebbeinu gave him schar because Oiseh b'mitzvah, potem and a mitzvah, he ended up with a proof to the Rabbi Yosef. So why did that pater the Shoyl? So it's obvious that the Ran holds that it does not have to come from the marshal, not like the Minchas Pitim. The Minchas Pitim asked this on the right, Leib Shvek. Doesn't understand them. And many Acharonim, the Nesivos, also asked this on the right. Simonai and Beis. What does this mean? I didn't get anything from the Shoyl. And the Ran, in the simple reading, holds it's not the Geher. If the Shoyl marshal benefits something,
Shemaim, he got something.
then he's no longer a Shoyl. Returns from a Shoyl into a citizen.
Yeshikayach.
That was one.